Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Pregame Network podcast. This is episode 65. Uh, the only gaming show on the internet not afraid to offend anybody with
Yep.
our opinions that are very clearly our own.
We're gonna put that to the test today. I'll tell
Oh
you right
yeah,
now.
yeah. You've been hyping up this episode, at least to me,
Yeah.
because you have something to talk about. So I'm interested to see where that's going to go.
Yeah,
Um,
that'll be the last thing we talk about. We'll get everything else out of the way first.
All right. All right. Well, we will start off today, like every other episode, by just talking about what we've been playing and what we've been playing. So, I mean, my list is kind of average, I would say. How much have you been playing this week?
I've I have had an opportunity to do a little bit more than I have in weeks past. So there's that.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let you go first
Okay.
because I have some stuff and things to talk about as far as like the big game that I've been playing this past
Okay.
week. So you go first, and then I will follow.
Okay. So like I just mentioned, I decided to fit in something small instead of waiting for the opportune moment to kick off my larger gaming plans that I just mentioned week after week.
Right.
Um, so I lowered my gotcha play down to what is affectionately called a checklisting. It's just enough to get daily bonuses. So instead of like 30 to 45 minutes squeaked in between edits, I had it down to like 5 minutes. And I had a bunch of videos set to be rendered. So all I needed to do was do a couple clicks every 10 to 40 minutes, right? And
Hmm.
all of this boring rambling is to say that I sat down and I played two games, and I
Okay.
actually completed one beginning to end completion. And that first game is RoboCop Rogue City.
Oh, really? Interesting. Okay,
Yes,
I'm
yes,
curious to see what you have to say about this because it's on Game Pass, and I've been
yes.
meaning to get to it.
Yeah,
They
I've
just had a new
actually.
DLC recently, so.
It's a standalone expansion actually. I don't know
Oh,
if that's
really? Wait.
available on
Oh,
the
is that what?
consoles yet.
That's what Rogue City is?
No. Rogue City is the base game, and the
Okay.
expansion is called Unfinished Business.
Right. Right. Right.
Um,
Okay.
I booted the game up. I watched the opening cutscene. I played for about 15 minutes, or I'm sorry, 15 seconds. I played for about 15 seconds.
Uh-oh.
Paused, put the controller down, and immediately rewatched the first two RoboCop films. That's a good way to get what we've been playing started. Now this is a video game podcast, and I'm not one to romanticize the past, but man, what a time for entertainment, and what a film from that time.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it quite. I wouldn't call myself a
You know,
hardcore fan, but I do actually really enjoy the first two RoboCop films.
and for Anthony, that it's actually like really saying something because Anthony is not like this big movie buff that I
Yeah,
am.
and yeah, you're more
So
the
for you to
action
say,
hero guy.
yeah, yeah, for you to say the fact that like you really enjoyed a movie is like that speaks volumes for because one, you're a critical person.
Hmm.
Um, that has become evident on this podcast for anybody that has stuck around this far.
Yes.
Two, you're way more into gaming than you are into movies. So when
Yeah.
you sit down and you watch not only one but two, do you watch them in the same day?
I watched them back to back, and then I picked the
Oh,
game back
Jesus.
up. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's like a really out of your comfort zone type of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, I have never actually seen any RoboCop from beginning to end.
Get
Like
the
I've
fuck
seen
out of here,
snippets,
really?
but I've never seen any of them from beginning to end. I saw a
Oh
little
my
bit of
god.
the remake. I didn't like love it, and then I just never touched them again.
Oh, fuck the remake. Go back, go and watch
Yeah, no, I
the
know, I
first
know.
two films.
There's two or three, like
There's
original RoboCops.
there's three, but the first two is what everybody says to watch. Basically, three
Okay,
is kind of
all
like,
right.
yeah. But
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that this weekend then.
that surprises me because you were, and I'm not saying like, oh, you watched one film, blah blah blah. But it's like whenever I hung out with you, it was always like a new either action movie from the 80s or the 90s or whatever was new in the
Yeah, I know.
2000s. Like I think you
Yeah,
sat me down, you forced me to watch Predator that one time, and I was like, it's scary, I don't like. But
you
yeah,
thought
so that
Predator was scary?
I was, I thought a lot of things were scary when I was younger. I moved past that very quickly. But Predator scared the shit out of
I'm
me
a
when I was younger.
bad influence, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. But I'm very surprised you haven't watched the first two RoboCop films. Go watch them. Most
Yeah,
importantly, because the series if you didn't know, has multiple different continuities based on the different TV shows, the animated show, and the new upcoming
Didn't even know there
sequel.
was a TV show.
Yeah, there were 2 TV shows, I think. I think there's 2 TV shows and 1 animated show. And the upcoming sequel will either be in the form of a movie or a TV show. It's up in the air at this point if it even comes out. And which is that one's going to toss everything out the window and start after the first film, so I guess it doesn't matter. But the reason, aside from the fact that I won't, again, not a huge fan, but I do like those 2 movies. The game puts itself in the original timeline, which is the first 3 movies, and
probably the way to go for that game.
So the game takes place right after 2, before 3. And I gotta say, like, the first thing I'll say is that they really nailed the look and feel of RoboCop, like himself, and like how you would expect him to handle in this shooter. It's a first-person shooter game.
Didn't Peter Weller voice RoboCop in the game?
Yes, he is one of the few actors that is like seemingly out of the blue. He seems down to voice the character wherever he shows up. Like when RoboCop showed up in Mortal Kombat, he voiced him. He voices him like everywhere now, except for like.
It's the same thing with Casper Van Dien, I think his name is, the guy who played Johnny Rico in Starship Troopers. Like he's all over the. He was in all 3 movies, even though Starship Troopers 2 and 3 sucked. He was in like every version of the animated films that Johnny Rico was in. He voiced his character, and then in the Starship Troopers Extermination game that came out like 6 months ago, they retroactively went back and got Casper Van Dien to voice Johnny Rico as like an onboarding procedure in the game. So he's just like, whenever his character pops up in the like ethos, he always shows up to voice. It's the same thing.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Because sometimes actors are hard asses about it, and other times you have actors get written into their contracts like, for as long as I'm alive and this character appears, I will always be voicing this character, like James Woods did with Hades and Hercules. He's like contractually obligated. They have to go to him first to get the character in there. But anyway, RoboCop. So basically, Dan, it's a first-person shooter.
It's like borderline on the rails FPS, I feel like. I've seen some gameplay.
Yes and no. You would think that, and that's what I thought. It's more open than you would give it credit for. It's almost like... And this is going to come up a lot if I talk about it, but the game reminded me a lot, as far as gameplay pacing and structure-wise, reminded me a lot of Mass Effect 1. Like...
Okay.
You know how in Mass Effect 1 you could go to different planets?
Attention.
Yeah. You know how you could go to different planets on a whim, and like you would land there, and sometimes there would be a structure, there would be a lot of miniature objectives. Imagine each major level of RoboCop is one of the Mass Effect 1 planets, and it's like you have your objective, you could go there, it's a straight shot, or you could branch off and do like 2 to 3 small mini quests, and then a handful of generic side quests where it's like you could. There's literally whenever you go to the streets of Detroit, there's always like serve and protect, where it's like, getting people, doing petty crimes or putting tickets on cars and shit like that. And there's also smaller busts you can make along the way. And I don't know, it's not like groundbreaking. It's not an open world thing. I mean, it is an open world, but it's not like super free open world or anything like that. I specifically make the comparisons to the smaller Mass Effect planets because that's like the content scale. It's not like an actual planet. Like you're landing on the moon, you're not landing on Novaria. There's less going on. But like even like the awkward like cutscene shifts and like how people talk reminded me a lot of Mass Effect 1. I don't know, it's strange to me. But anyway, so you have your objectives, you go from point to point. And you would think it's just like, okay, well, there's more content than I anticipated, but that's really all there is to it, right? And it's like, no, because there's like RPG like stats that you can spec into. Like if you want to just be a raw tank and just keep RoboCop feeling like RoboCop, you could do that, or you could, spec into investigation so you get more experience. You can do more specialty things. There's slow down time skill with focus. You can do charging moves. You can do flashbang moves. This game, I'm not going to say it was packed full of gameplay content and like shit to do, but if you go into it expecting just like an on the rails like linear point A to point B, you will be pleasantly surprised is what I'm getting at. Okay. But overall, I'm not going to sit here and go through the whole game, but it's more content than I was expecting. A lot of small things to do, more going into, things like dialogue trees and RPG stats that I wasn't expecting. But aside from that, it feels like, I don't want to say incomplete because that's not fair, and I say it all the time where it feels like I'm playing a beta. It just feels uneven. Like, RoboCop looks and sounds great. Playing the game is very fun, but then it's just like some of the models look and feel like they're just default models. You were uncomfortable with the lip syncing in Expedition 33. You're going to be uncomfortable with it here. There are a lot of like amateur level visual glitches I encountered as I went along. The sound mixing is dog shit. Like, it is one of the worst. Like the sounds are good. The sound mixing is terrible. I played with the sliders trying to fix this. I don't even think the sliders fucking work. I honestly don't know what's going on. It's just like things, the voices are way too low. The sound effects are way too high. I'm deafening myself because I'm trying to just listen to RoboCop, but the scene I'm watching put him across the room, so it sounds like he's really across the room, but everything else still sounds loud like it's in my ear. Like, this sounds like a nitpick. It almost ruined the game for me. Like, the sound mixing is abysmal dog shit.
If it's bad enough, it'll ruin your experience.
It's like the complete opposite of the praises I sing for Modern Warfare 2019 is the complete opposite of that.
I was waiting for you to bring that up too.
Yeah,
we always gush about the Modern Warfare 19
sound design, and that was awesome.
Audio mixing, it was fucking fantastic.
But the gist of it, you know how the game plays, you know what the content's there for. It feels like they laid everything out that they needed to, like the bare bones, and then did multiple scrambled passes across the game going, ooh, we should do this, we should fix this. And and when it works really well. A lot of cool polish, a lot of things I just wasn't expecting, like small touches and like, expansive gameplay options. It is in that league of games that feel like they would have come out like 15 years ago and fit right in, right at home.
Okay.
Definitely by far the best RoboCop game, and there's a handful. Actually, I might take that back. RoboCop versus Terminator is actually a pretty good game.
I've never even heard of that.
It's an old school like side scroll shooter. It's like
Metal Slug.
Yeah, Metal Slug's a good comparison. It's like it's on that level. But definitely I would say you would appreciate it quite a bit.
I've been meaning to get around to it.
Yeah, definitely, it's right up your alley. Watch the first two films first, because those are also right up your alley.
Okay, noted.
But yeah, aside from RoboCop, which I once again I do recommend, and the gacha games I played before, and the fighting games that I didn't mention, the only other game I tried and I didn't complete yet is Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, which is one of the last games I was.
It's on Game Pass,
excited.
Right?
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. It got announced last year and a half ago. It is another action RPG in the Souls vein. And
it looks like another, what was the other game called? Based off of Odyssey to the West. Wukong, yeah. It looks just like that.
That's what a lot of people say. I will say I'm enjoying it for what it is. You know me, I've talked about how I feel about the Souls games and games that ape off the Souls formula. My main draw was that it looked a little quicker, and the characters weren't objectively ugly or made to be ugly, which is what a lot of these companies like to do. And I find it funny because as I'm making my way through it, very slowly, not nearly as quick as the other stuff that I do, but I'm enjoying it so far for what it is. But I'm seeing, like, all of a sudden, all the outlets suddenly, after, like, 15 years of this shit, however old Demon Souls is and Dark Souls is, all of a sudden the outlets are just suddenly fed up with the Souls-like games, they call it. And I'm just like, this seems like just like an odd watermark to pick out and say, like, I'm done here. And at the same time, the writing articles like, oh, this character objectifies women. I'm just like, guys, you gotta relax. It's just another fucking action RPG game. She's not like, this isn't fucking... And I'm not saying this justifies it, but this isn't Stellar Blade level. You don't need to throw a shit fit. Just not everything needs to be rampantly ugly. I'm sorry that, characters not made to be ugly offends you, but it's an inoffensive game from what I've played so far. I've got no trouble with it. It's just another, but that's what I've been playing this week.
Okay, cool. Let's see. My list is a little bit longer than usual. I went back and I played a bunch of Killing Floor 2 just to get myself ready for Killing Floor 3, and I'll get to that in a second. I dabbled a little bit in Helldivers because the new War Bond dropped. I wanted to check out the new equipment. Have you ever talked about a game called Terra Nil to you?
It sounds familiar. Pretend like we haven't.
So the best way I could describe it is like it's a reverse city builder. Like you get for like so you get plopped onto this map, right? And the whole map is covered in like pollution and smog and like just that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And you have to go through and like kind of terraform the board, and turn everything green and like make it like a living, thriving ecosystem. It's one of those games that like it's just like a chill play session where you're not really trying to be sweaty in anything, or you're not trying to like really, really, really focus on something. It's just one of those games that like you want to just sit back and relax and just kind of turn the whole thing green. Um, it was on like it was the Steam Next Fest once upon a time, and I picked it up for like $10, like 6 months ago, maybe longer than that, and it it's just a relaxing experience. So like I've been playing a little bit of that just to like kill time.
Yeah, that's
If
fair.
anybody, yeah, if anybody likes that type of thing, where it's like if you like SimCity, just think about it in reverse. Like that's kind of what it is. Not that you're
This
starting
sounds
with a
familiar
city.
the more that you say it.
Yeah. It's like I've always liked city builders, and this caught my eye, so I decided to try it out, and it's pretty fun. Like I've put a grand total of like 4 hours into it. Um, and you know it just you can only play something like that for so long, but I just wanted like a chill type of session at one point, and
Yeah.
I started playing that again.
Fair.
So there's that. I started another playthrough of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart just because
Yeah,
I
we were
needed
talking
I
about that.
wanted, yeah, I wanted to scratch the itch of Ratchet and Clank again, and I have no other way of doing it aside from emulation.
Hmm.
And uh, there's something to be said about like the whole quality of life upgrades with a newer title. Um, and I actually started playing through Deadlocked like 6 to 8 months ago because I put an emulator on my computer, and I already have a copy of the game, so that's not the problem.
Hmm.
Um, uh, so I started playing Deadlocked again, and like you don't really realize the I the only way I could describe it is like quality of life, because I mean
Hmm.
frame rate's one thing. I don't really care about that so much when it comes to the older titles, but like just the control scheme by itself on Deadlock just seems, what the fuck were they thinking making that control scheme?
Well, to
So
be fair, Deadlock even back in the day it got panned for more than a few reasons. You know.
yeah, I don't know why I decided to like play through, or like play Deadlocked just period, but that was the game that I decided to play. I don't know. I don't have a good explanation for that.
Mm.
Um, but I do plan on going back and playing more of like the old school Ratchet and Clank games. But I downloaded Rift Apart and started another playthrough of that. And like I know you said you had your issues with it, but it still feels like a classic Ratchet and Clank experience to me,
Mm.
and I love that. I'll never not play a Ratchet and Clank game so long as they keep on coming out with them. And I would say the same thing for Jack and Daxter, but that series is good and truly dead, and I mourn that to this day.
Hmm.
Um, but so I've started another playthrough of Ratchet and Clank. The finals has kind of been a staple for us for the past couple months, which I have actually been loving, even though Harrison and I get fucking tilted to no end.
For
Uh,
anybody out there listening, please, for the love of God, you need to understand. Like he's all sunshine and rainbows when we talk about the game.
yeah,
Different beast when we're playing the game. If you want
yeah.
to see more of that, check out the Pregame Network Active Shooters playlist. You'll you'll, you'll get you'll get plenty of what do the kids call it? Crashing out. Is that what you
Yeah,
do when you play the
yeah.
finals? There you
Well,
go.
because like so we get like a couple really solid games in. I'm feeling really good about myself in the game. And then for whatever reason, it just fucking comes to a grinding halt when we come up against a team that's actually communicating and like playing the objective and like operating like a well-oiled machine. And then everything
Hmm.
just kind of fucking falls apart.
Hmm.
But I do have a good time when we play the finals, and I'm glad that we have like the a majority of like a full team. So I'm
Yeah.
always happy to play that game. But eventually, like it does get frustrating because my luck only lasts for so long. So the finals has been one thing. I've been playing Destiny 2 on and off since the Edge of Fate expansion came out. I beat the campaign. It was fine. Like the story is heading in an interesting direction. I'm pretty sure I brought that up already.
Yes.
Um, but every time I log in now, and I mean, you're gonna get a kick out of this because of your feelings of Destiny, but and like I've already paid my $100 for the year. Like
Yes.
I paid up
You
front like I
mentioned.
always do every year because I've been that into Destiny for such a long time. Um,
Hmm.
but now I'll log into the game, and the changes they've made to how you do pretty much everything is so deep and expansive that like I really have a hard time um not sticking with it, but like I feel like I can't be bothered to like learn the system now. And that's a problem for me because I've already invested the $100 to for the whole fucking year of content that's coming our way. But the gear system has been basically rebuilt from the ground up at this point.
Hmm.
And even though in the past I've said that that was like the right decision for Bungie to make,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be sticking with it. Like I'm trying, but especially the fact that all the people that I used to play Destiny with like religiously, they all pretty much like put it down. Um and I think that by itself might be the nail in the coffin for me. Like
Hmm.
if I wanted to get back into it in the same way that I was before, I'd have to go out and find a whole other clan to play with. And like I don't know if I have it in me to start from the beginning like that again. So the jury's still out on whether or not I'm gonna keep playing Destiny or not, but I paid the
Hmm.
$100 already. So like I kind of feel obligated at this point, but I don't know. Um Time will tell with that. So that's I'll leave it at that. I don't want to keep on harping on Destiny anymore. Um, have you ever heard of the game Wildgate?
Yes, and I feel like we've talked about it. We talked about it with Harrison last night, didn't we?
Yeah, a little bit. So
Yeah.
what? So this one guy that I play with from my Destiny clan, like every single time that I played Destiny, bought Wildgate and convinced me to scoop it up also. And I've been
Hmm.
playing with him for a little bit, and it's actually like a good amount of fun. It's 4 or 5 teams of four. You each have your own spaceship. You have to go around and raid different asteroids and collect resources for your ship and upgrade it and blah blah blah. It's an FPS, so like that's my genre. And then if you come across like another crew, then you can it's a PvP time, and you have to wipe them out, or they wipe you out, or whatever. But it's been an interesting experience so far. I've only played about 2 hours in total, but it definitely got potential. It's ex-Blizzard guys who made Wildgate, so it's the game is competent. I have to just put more time into it though. So like right now, I'm enjoying it. I just have to spend more time with it to like really see what I'm going to get out of it. Um, so that's something else that I've been playing. Witchfire, remember Witchfire? I've been talking about that for the past couple weeks, I think.
Yes.
So that's like the not roguelite, but like the extraction Dark Souls FPS game that like you have to go to different islands and extract the witchfire so you can upgrade your character. They just got a big update today that added a new weapon and a new location. They rebalanced the entire skill tree. I've been playing a little bit of that. I had not played it enough to really give my full opinion on it, so I'm just going to hold off on that. But the big thing that I've been playing a lot of this week is Killing Floor 3, and I definitely have something to say about Killing Floor 3.
All
So
right.
I'm going to go on that rant a little bit right now
Go
because a
for it.
lot of the stuff that I was going to talk about for like my quote unquote news is Killing Floor 3 related. Um, so I've put a grand total of 14 hours into Killing Floor 3 so far.
Okay.
And I think that everyone who's saying that this game is a steaming pile of shit and like what was Tripwire thinking and blah blah blah. On one hand, I can understand where that sentiment is coming from. On the other hand, I think that people like hardcore bashing Killing Floor 3, which is, to be fair, like the majority of the Killing Floor community, or at least that's who's being vocal about it. Um, I think people are wildly overreacting. And now I don't know if you remember, but I've had this stance on this game from fucking day one. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but like I'm pretty sure I've been saying this since I've seen this game.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm not crazy. Um, so there's a lot of different things that they decided to do with Killing Floor 3. People are saying that like Killing Floor 3 has lost the heart and soul of Killing Floor. I don't know where that thought is coming from, because to me, the IP of Killing Floor means gritty, horror, like no, what's the term I'm looking for?
Dark.
As far as the atmosphere goes, it's supposed to be very dark and gritty and like very, very horror-esque, right?
Yes.
During the closed beta tests that I played, that was not what Killing Floor 3 was. Now, after the massive backlash that they faced from the community, Tripwire, they delayed it, as we've already talked about a couple months ago. They delayed it by 6 months. They updated all the maps to be a lot darker, a lot more gory, a lot more like horror-esque inspired, and I think they did a pretty good job. I think they still have more work to do, but I think they took a big step in the right direction. So that's one aspect that I think makes Killing Floor Killing Floor. Another aspect are the guns and the way that they animate the guns, because in Killing Floor 1 and 2, they put such an enormous emphasis on the weapon animation and the details of the guns and how that they are rendered in game. Now in Killing Floor 3, the game takes place in like 2090 something or whatever. It's like in the near future. And that being said, Killing Floor 2 was very known for its vast arsenal of weapons. It didn't start out like that. It started out pretty bare bones, actually, and that's exactly how Killing Floor 3 is starting out. They're not on the same engine. They moved to 5, which apparently that's what some people are calling Tripwire out on, because they made the move from whatever they were on to Unreal Engine. I think they were on the Source engine. I'm pretty sure it was a Half-Life mod.
That would make sense given the roots of the series.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they were on the Source engine. They made the jump from Source to Unreal 5. Now, I can understand where people are coming from when they're saying that like it just looks cookie cutter and modern slop and blah blah blah. I mean, you're allowed to have that opinion. I don't think that it really matters all too much. Like the overall stylistic choice that Tripwire had went with Killing Floor 3 is not that far off from Killing Floor 1 and 2. It's a little bit brighter, but I think that's because of the engine choice overall. But I think that the move to Unreal 5 was probably a good thing, because one, that engine is going to be supported for years to come. Two, they don't have to make anything in-house, so they don't have to like worry about if something breaks and they don't know why. Like, it's not going to be that big of a deal. They can always have Epic help them fix it. And then just like the longevity of the title, I feel like Unreal was probably the right choice to go with. Now, the menus themselves, I don't really care for. They look a little bit too modern / mobile-y to me. And that's just kind of So the third thing that I think that makes Killing Floor Killing Floor, I had a list in my head. So it was the atmosphere, right? I already went over that. It was the guns. I just went over that. The third thing is, for me personally, it's the Z time, which to anybody else that plays any other game, that's just bullet time. It's just slow-mo. You rack up enough of a meter, and in the first two games, you had no idea when Z time was going to happen. It just happened at random. Usually it was after a headshot kill. In Killing Floor 3, you have to fill up a bar. That's just based on how many enemies that you're killing, as far as I can understand it right now. I think that if you get critical kills, and depending on your perks, it fills up faster. But you can actually see a visual representation of like how close you're going to get to winding up in Z time. Now, the coolest selling point for me back in Killing Floor 2, and I think you were there with me. Was I wrong? Was Killing Floor?
Yeah, I went and double checked. That surprised that surprised me too. I
thought I could have sworn. Okay. So you know what? That's even a stronger argument in Tripwire's favor. So it was never on the Source engine. It was always on Unreal. So everyone that is like bashing this game for the way that it looks, like they are just moving forward with the same engine that they've always fucking had. I don't understand. Like, I really don't understand where the hate for this game is coming from. But that's a conversation for later. So Z time, like that's the third pillar in my opinion that makes Killing Floor what it is. Back in Killing Floor 2, I was at a Comic-Con way back when Killing Floor 2 was being made and marketed, Now, at the time, Tripwire said that when you enter Z time, all of the guns are rendered at a higher frame rate than the rest of the world, so that when you shoot them, the guns look way more detailed and they just look better than the rest of the environment. Like that's part of the killing floor experience. They Tripwire had to go back and improve on that after the closed betas, and I think they did a good job. I think they still have some more work to do, but it's definitely moving in the right direction. The Z time looks fine to me. I don't understand where all this hate is coming from. I think I sent you a screenshot a couple of days ago or a week ago from a Steam review, and it was, I think I can find it. Hang on. It was pretty funny. I enjoyed it. It was okay. Killing Floor 2 on release. I hate it. It's not Killing Floor 1. Killing Floor 3 on release. I hate it. It's not Killing Floor 2. Double spaced. Game is fine. That's exactly how I fucking feel. Like people need to just relax. So I've been enjoying my time with Killing Floor 3. Now, does it have its issues? Absolutely. The game needs a really good amount of polish. That's number one. Number two, there are a lot of bugs in Killing Floor 3 right now, but both of those things can be fixed. Number three, it is a little light on content. The map selection is okay. It definitely has less than Killing Floor 2, but Killing Floor 2 has had like, I don't know, 6 years to like really come into its own. The second thing that I was very disappointed by after all the time that I put in so far is the weapon selection. The weapon selection is pretty bare bones. There's not a lot there. And you go back into Killing Floor 2, there is a fuck ton of guns to pick from. But also, that's over the course of however many years of development that game had. So when Killing Floor 2 launched, it was not what we have now. Killing Floor 2 right now is 95 fucking gigs. Okay? Killing Floor 3 is, I gotta go to the store page, it's already installed. Killing Floor 3 is 30. Okay? Like, do you understand the difference in just sheer volume of data that they added into Killing Floor 2? And you could speak to this fact personally, Anthony. The monetization in Killing Floor 2 was abysmal. It was so convoluted. Oh my god.
It was rough.
Yeah. But at least in Killing Floor 3, like the cash shop it's just exactly what you would expect out of a modern day cash shop, which honestly is better than what they had in Killing Floor 2. So by default, it's better on that front.
For context, Killing Floor 2, when it launched, started at about 30-40 gigabytes. So that all that extra
stuff
is
the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
So again, like I see so much hate for this game online. For the life of me, I don't understand it. I just think it is the Killing Floor 2 diehards that just don't want to move to this next game. And the whole subject of the ultimate abilities in 3, after playing this game for 14 hours, they are not as prevalent as you would have thought. Like, you can use them once, maybe twice per round if you time them right, also depending on your skills. But it's not just a win button by any stretch, which is what everybody thought that it was going to be. Like, I've been playing as the commando and as the sharpshooter, I think the class is called, or marksman or sharpshooter, one of the two. But like, you use your ability and like, you clear out the fodder, but you're not gonna just delete a boss with it by any stretch. So I don't know. Look, after 14 hours, I can confidently say that I'm enjoying the game. The game has potential. There's still definitely work to do. And I think that given Tripwire's track record with all the games that they have put out so far, and I said the same thing about Darktide and Fat Shark as well when that game first came out, just based off of their history, it's going to wind up in a fine place. Killing Floor 3 is going to have its crowd, and I don't think Killing Floor 2 is going anywhere either. So I'm enjoying it. I think I'm going to end up playing Killing Floor 3 a lot more than I played Killing Floor 2. I just want them to come out with more content. I want them to polish the game, fix the bugs. And one last thing, it's kind of a nitpick, but the voice acting is awful in Killing Floor 3. It's terrible. And they're decoupling perks with characters. So you can now run any perk on any character when they eventually come out with that. That was like a big complaint too when the beta first got announced. Anyway, that is what I've been playing. We're 35 minutes in. Like, this is the longest what we've been playing this week.
Well, to be fair,
by far.
you had to cover some ground with like a big
Yeah.
launch with news around it and everything like that. We'll
Yeah.
count it as a story included there too.
Yeah. But I'm enjoying Killing Floor 3. I'm still going to gift it to you when I get paid so we could play together. I know we already convinced Harrison to buy it. I like it. I think that it's a good time, but they definitely need to polish the game up. They need to fix the bugs, and they need to optimize it, because those three things could they could kill the game, because the optimization is like it's bad. It's really bad. I managed to get it running well enough on my laptop where I'm not like gonna throw the fucking computer out the window. It runs absolutely fine on my desktop. I don't have any complaints with that. But the game still needs optimization updates. And that is one of the key features they put on their year one roadmap. So they know about it. So,
Okay.
we'll see where that goes. But anyway, talk about something else. I've been yapping for like 20 minutes now.
Oh man, I don't know what I have outside of the big things that I wanted to get.
You want to end on
honestly. Yeah, I do, because it's
Okay.
gonna be a bit and a half. I don't know what else there is.
Well,
really.
so last week, do you remember I said, I saw a leak for Battlefield 6 that they're going to be revealing the multiplayer, or they're going to come out with the reveal trailer like on, I think it was the 28th.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I'm like, I don't think that's right. That doesn't make any sense. They're going to wait until later in the summer. Boy, was I fucking wrong. That leak was 100% accurate.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you watched the trailer?
I have watched the trailer, yes.
Okay. You're not as big of a Battlefield fan as I am, so I want to hear your thoughts before I give mine. So, shoot.
These things, they're multi-layered. There's always a difference between what they show and what we end up getting and how things go from there. But on the surface, that looks pretty good.
Okay,
Seems
good.
to be
I'm
where
glad
it needs
that
to
we
be.
are in alignment with this. Yeah. On the surface, it's looking good. It really is. So I'm getting a lot of parallels with the 2042 reveal trailer, just like the way that they have all the troops organized, and the way that like God, sorry, the way that like the battle is playing out in the trailer itself. If you go back and look at the 2042 trailer, stylistically, like take out the futuristic setting for a second, but stylistically, nobody's moving in like a tactical based squad. Like, it's all just like tons of soldiers running at an objective, right? It was the same thing, but in the Battlefield 6 trailer, they put such an emphasis on the destruction. Like, guys, did you know that Battlefield has destruction now? Like, here's 3 helicopter crashes in one trailer. Guys, Battlefield 6 has got fucking destruction. The trailer did a really good job of like showcasing the fact that, hey, we got destruction now. You wanted destruction, we got fucking destruction. Slaps roof. You could fit so much fucking destruction in this thing. So that was like my one major takeaway from this trailer, was that the destruction is fucking back. And you know what? I'm all for it. I'm here for it.
Destruction's a lot of fun.
Yeah. On top of that, like, I feel like they really went out of their way to showcase the overall art style and the weapons that we're going to be using in Battlefield 6. Like that one. So I know, Anthony, I know I've been saying this for weeks now. This game, it is channeling the Modern Warfare 19 vibe so fucking hard.
Yeah.
But also mixing in its own Battlefield flavor. Like, but I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. Like, I'm actually all about it. Like that one scene where that squad is moving through the apartment, like, that is Clean House from Modern Warfare 2019.
Yes.
Like, to a fucking T, that is Clean House. And I think that DICE knows that the entire Battlefield community, and even going further than that, I think the entire FPS fan base of like just the genre is clamoring for a a gritty, grounded FPS experience that doesn't have fucking Cheech and Chong and Beavis and Butthead and fucking anime character. Like COD is so off the reservation, it's not even funny. Um, just from a stylistic, like I can still play COD now and I'll have like a okay time with it. The mechanics have never really changed that much, but the fact that like I'll see Nicki Minaj running around, it's just too much for me at this point. And
Mhm.
uh, actually yesterday there was a big leak of all the different maps and a lot of the skin packs for Battlefield 6. And you know what? I've never been so happy to see a monetization leak in a game just before
Well,
because it
well,
all looks like something I'd want to fucking buy.
listen. I actually I am of the belief that people in general are kind of getting tired of like all the different things. There's been enough YouTube videos and people clamoring, and people
Yeah.
making noise about it. However, you need to temper your expectations a little bit because with EA at the helm, there could very much be a
Well,
sucker
okay.
punch 3 months in that didn't
Yeah,
leak,
yeah.
where you're gonna
I
start
completely
getting the
agree.
more outlandish stuff out there.
Right. That's I agree with you. I don't really have anything to say back to that. And I think I need to clarify the fact that I know it might seem like I'm gushing about this trailer, and yeah, I think it does look good, but I'm still cautiously optimistic. Like I'm liking what I'm seeing. I am not in any way quote unquote hyped for this yet.
Hmm.
I need to see gameplay, like official gameplay, and I've seen even more leaks for like gameplay footage since the last time that we spoke. Um, and everything that I have been seeing, I'm actually really liking what I'm seeing. Um, but like you said, with EA at the helm and them just wanting to fill their bottomless pockets, um, I'm not on the hype train. I'm really, really not.
Okay.
So I hear what you're saying. It's just the fact that like it finally seems like Battlefield is going back to what made the franchise great.
Hmm.
And me as a Battlefield fan, like I want nothing but to go back to those roots. So I might be getting like a little bit excitable, but I'm not at the hype level yet.
Mm. Okay.
Once so they said that the multiplayer reveal is going to be happening on the 30th, which is actually as officially
Later
like now at
today.
the time of this record. Yeah,
Yeah.
later today. So I'm very curious to see what that looks like. And my hype level will adjust accordingly after this trailer comes out later today. So we'll see where that goes.
Okay.
Um, but so far, Battlefield 6 is looking good. It's looking like what the whole community wants from DICE and EA. And honestly, the sentiment overall is that like this is the last chance for the Battlefield IP. Like if they fuck this up, then the franchise is really just gonna crumble and die.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll see where that goes. But like so far, everything is looking pretty good. It's looking promising.
Mm.
I just don't want the rug pulled out from under me. So
I
yeah,
get you. Yeah, we'll
there
we'll
is that.
see what ends up happening. Just like I said, it is. I mean, you mentioned it's kind of a last stand for Battlefield. I think
Yeah,
we both kind of mentioned at a certain point where it's just like there's no way the brand just dies overnight, but it's gonna mutate
yeah,
into some weird fucking thing, or they're gonna take drastic measures if Battlefield 6 doesn't do too hot. But I think between general fatigue and its major competitor Call of Duty, the fact that from the get-go it seems to be targeting a lot of what people want, which is less of the bullshit Call of Duty is doing and more of traditional Battlefield, this could,
yeah,
come together rather nicely for them. I think they're still in
yeah.
an excellent position. Say what we will about the game and what ends up happening with it, they are in a good position right now.
Yes. And as one thing I didn't touch on is that EA did confirm that Battlefield 6 is coming out on October 10th.
Okay.
So that should be it's right before the holiday season, which is exactly where I'm sure everybody probably guessed that it was going to come out.
Mm.
Um, so I mean it's right around the corner. I mean we're almost in August now, so
Yeah.
that's only a couple months away.
Mm.
Um, so I think based on how this multiplayer reveal looks, probably give us a little bit of a better idea of what the final product will be. Because I mean, we've been hearing conflicting reports over the past couple weeks that oh, the game is in like a really good place, or oh, we're playing catch up right now because we have a whole lot to do and not a lot of time to do it. Um, so we'll see what the trailer looks like later today. But I'm hopeful. I'm not getting hyped, quote unquote, just yet.
That's fair.
Um,
Smart.
I want to
Smart
see
decision.
more. Yeah, yeah. Let's see, what else do I got? Because I know once I give you the mic, you're gonna just take it and run.
More than likely.
Yeah. So actually, you posted this, but it is something that I wanted to talk about also. The whole Splitgate 2 drama going on.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. They are officially unlaunching the game.
Yeah.
They're going back
That's
into beta.
yeah. I mean,
They're
I'll be
gonna,
completely honest. I mean, the whole thing with the Splitgate 2, you know, with them unlaunching and all that kind of stuff, and just like the long paragraph that where they talked about, you know, all the feedback we've been receiving and launch not going the way that it is, you know, them going back to beta. I mean, I'll be completely honest. Splitgate 2, it doesn't feel, it's not a bad game. It's just this is a game that I think is tuned and polished and fulfilled in the vision that it wants to be. It's just not a vision that people wanted from Splitgate. So I'm just, you know, they talk about, you know, like again, going back to beta, reworking progression, going from the ground up, you know, changing the maps, you know, addressing all this feedback, but it's like, what can you really do when it's very clear
yeah.
you made the game that you want to, but everybody didn't want it, or the I shouldn't say didn't want that, like nobody wanted it, but more that the people you were catering to, your core audience, didn't want it. Like I think there's an audience for Splitgate 2 as is. I just don't. I think there's a mismatch with what people were expecting with Splitgate 1, because it's a solid game. I mean, if Splitgate 2 came out while Halo Infinite was at its peak floundering, I think Splitgate 2 would have just ate that entire crowd right up. The people that wanted
Yeah,
like Halo
probably.
Infinite to get off its ass, like that's who this is for, really. I mean, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, even I can tell the differences between 1 and 2. My understanding is 1's not available to play anymore, is it?
Yeah, they're taking it offline because they want to. Apparently they can't afford, or no, they can, but like it's not an economical decision for the company to continue the upkeep of the servers, if they want to retain the employees of the company. So they opted to shut down Splitgate 1 in order to retain the team members, so they didn't have to let them go. But
That's tough.
according to Steam charts, like just over 100 people are playing Splitgate 1 still.
Mm.
So it's not like, I'm not saying like those people's uh, you know, desires don't matter or anything,
Oh, of
but
course not.
it's not like, you know, you're sacrificing, you know, thousands of people.
Yeah,
The game is basically dead anyway.
This is a tough situation because it's like it was a niche, you know, success. I would say it succeeded for what it was, you know, on a very much lower scale, right? For a niche
Yeah.
breakout IP, and I think it was just an overshot, and I think it
Yeah.
was a matter of misdirection. Like people are going to take the wrong thing from this. Like they're going to rag on them for like the battle royale or that one announcement that they did at you know, was it the Summer Games Fest where he went on stage and he made those comments. Like people are going to make it all about that, not the fact that
Yeah.
honestly there was just a mismatch here, honestly, which
My
is a shame
biggest problem with the
because
game,
yeah.
my biggest problem with the game and the few hours that I played it was that there was almost no depth to the like the progression systems. Like, you know, you could outplay somebody with the portals and everything, and that was kind of cool. But like once you hit max level with a weapon, like that was it. There was no way to like show off your mastery of the gear. And that's a big thing for me personally, because like I could just, if I if I really love a weapon in a game, like I'll just use it over and over and over again. But I want something to show for my time. And Splitgate 2 was kind of, it was a game that like they wanted you to play it just because you liked playing it. I know that sounds like ridiculous because isn't that why we all play video games anyway? But we live in an era where, you know, you sink your time into these games and you want something to show off your mastery of this game. And every game has a different version of that, but there was nothing to speak of for that in Splitgate. And I think it was just rushed, and them going back to the drawing board for the progression systems is probably a good solution, or a good move. But yeah, I mean, it didn't really have much staying power in my opinion.
Mm. Yeah,
But
that's a tough
anywho,
spot. Yeah.
now Anthony,
Yes.
I gotta hear what you've been keeping in for the past week, because
Okay. Well,
I mean, you've been going on and on about this. I don't know about, or I forgot.
Before we do, there is one last small story that we should probably get to.
Okay.
The Space Marine 2 studio got shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see, where is it?
What do you think, buddy?
Interesting decision, considering how well the game performed and the fact that a sequel was already greenlit.
Yeah.
So it's not like Saber didn't shut down. Like Saber Interactive,
Yeah,
or the
Saber's
guy,
still
or
around,
the yeah, they were the ones that were credited with the development of the game. Who was the actual studio who made it though? Saber Interactive SGS LLC is closing for now. The studio has developed or collaborated on several other well-received titles over the years, including World War Z, World War Z Aftermath, SnowRunner, and MudRunner. It's an American company. Saber Interactive is entirely free of any danger and will remain functional through this liquidation. Amid this dilemma, the studio has also revealed its new project, Clive Barker's Hellraiser Revival. So, I guess the subsidiary that was responsible for the in the trenches work for Space Marine 2 got closed, which boggles my mind because they did a fucking phenomenal job with Space Marine 2. I mean, I love that game. It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine that there's a slim chance that because of how large Saber is, that this is just a portion of the group that worked on it. But even then, I'm just like, that's like the first time I've like looked at a shutdown and I've kind of raised an eyebrow, because Saber's not really hurting right now. The only thing you can really point to is it being a conglomerate that's overspent or overcollected studios. I don't know. It struck me as odd. Like, I can make sense of a lot of closures and I can say good riddance to a lot of them, and I'm not gonna like bleeding heart here over this one, but it's just like it seems like a failing of the structure of Saber and less like an issue
I
of
think this
funds.
I am so this was an Embrace Your Group decision. It wasn't Saber's decision. So that should give you a little bit more context.
I should clarify. Like I said, I am kind of trying to point in that direction where it's definitely like big conglomerates buying big conglomerates which have multiple studios, and it's just not a tenable structure, is basically what I'm getting at. Yeah.
So it was weird. I mean, apparently Space Marine 3 is still moving forward. Like, why would it not? The game sold very well. It critically did very well. Games Workshop is very happy with the overall reception of Space Marine 2. Like, it doesn't make it. They're not going to not make Space Marine 3.
Yeah. No official statement on this either.
Yes, also correct. Just weird. Just weird.
Might be something we hear more about in the near future.
Possibly. But there's really not much else to cover on that front. I mean, it just kind of happened and everyone was just left scratching their heads. So
yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, so that kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah. All right.
But moving on from there, I'm just gonna go back and check and make sure I don't have anything
just make
else
sure
I
you got
wanted to
everything
talk
that
about.
you wanted to talk about out of the way.
All this stuff from I'm scrolling up from that we already talked about that last week. The big thing was just like Battlefield 6, my Killing Floor 3 impressions, which I actually might write something up for the channel, as a dedicated video for.
Oh, absolutely, go for it, man.
Yeah. Splinter Cell, the Netflix series creator. God, clearly not a fan of the games.
I guess not.
What was the quote? Oh yeah, Sam Fisher is not the best at what he does. I immediately have no fucking show. Like,
Yeah,
fuck you, man.
yeah, I just don't like. We're so done with the deconstruction of a hero
Yeah.
fucking trope. Like that's been dead, like, and buried. People were sick of it like 8 years ago. You know, we like. I get it. Ubisoft just hands out their properties to whoever, and Netflix hands out writers' hats to whoever. But like, this is ridiculous. It's just another thing we got to tarnish. We gotta, I'm sure we gotta get him shown up by whoever the real protagonist in that show is, and the writer's
Yep.
pet and all that. And it's just no, not that I was interested to begin with, but man, oh man, that does not sound like a good time.
Yeah, I'm already less than interested.
Yeah.
Like I just have no fucking desire to even look at that show. But
Yeah.
that was the only other thing.
All right.
So all right,
Well,
let's see what you got.
Well, Dan, I hope you're locked in because
I can fucking hear you sitting up in
Yeah.
your chair.
So I told you I had another rant. It's not a
Yep.
topic that's new to you, but it's one that's been developing in multiple ways. And I'm gonna kind of broach the subject. In the last 2 weeks, a handful of issues and events have come about or come to a head in our industry, our medium, our art form. I was gonna cover both major ones last week, but Stop Killing Games was large enough to eat up most of the episode, and I didn't want to clutter it, and we really didn't have the
Yep.
time anyway. I'm gonna get us started with a recent story you've heard about already. At least I'm pretty sure we talked about it, or I linked it or something. But and that is Nexus Mods took down a mod for Ready or Not that undid the recent censorship patch. Did you hear about that? Did I link that?
No, you did not. I know about the censorship
know about
scandal
it.
with Ready or Not
Okay.
coming to consoles. I did not know
Okay.
that there was access to remove said censorship, which
Yes.
makes sense. And now that you say that, now I'm thinking to myself like, okay, I see where this is going.
You have no idea. But anyway, so yeah, Nexus
Okay.
Mods took it down. I think it was called Uncensored or Not was the name of the mod.
Yeah.
Now I've mentioned my experience with Ready or Not is somewhat limited. It's just a technological hurdle. I've played a couple missions, but my computer just really isn't up to it. Aside from my general stance on not accepting censorship, everyone I know that's played it, people like you who have a decent amount of hours, or people I know that
No,
really,
I've never touched it.
really, okay, well,
No, I've never played one. Never. I don't own
Okay,
it.
well-
I've never played it.
gotcha. People I know that really enjoyed the game and played it regularly, because I know more than a few people who like surprisingly like they've given me lore dumps on the different missions and how this affects it, and how it really downplays some of the things they've covered. Anyone that has played it and understood what it was trying to do are pointing out that this hurts, or at least waters down the themes and severity of the topics represented. And we've talked about those before, where it's like these officers and what the officers that they're kind of aping on, the real world stuff, they're dealing with like the worst of the worst,
Yep.
And my initial guess before I looked into this was that nudity and mentions of children victims were going to be removed. That was my guess. Before the censorship itself, the first thing I'll say, I encountered all the usual headlines and statements that paint the player in the wrong, like calling the reaction disproportionate, reporting the new reviews as review bombing, justifying it as necessary for a wider release, the word censorship in quotes or apostrophes, or it's italicized or written sarcastically or demonstrated as a claim instead of a fact, or being called content changes, which is what they're calling it at face value. When you get down to it, Void Interactive provided their own take on what they changed and provided a handful of comparison before and after images. I'll send them your way if you want to take a peek. Is that something you want me to show them?
Yeah, you might as well.
Okay, so here's a few of them. I don't know if this is all of them. I think they mentioned like 6 or so.
Mhm.
There you go. There you go, right there.
Okay.
Yeah, so just to kind of show you a few things, and basically what you're looking at is on the surface level, looking at it from the surface level from someone who hasn't gone in and played these levels back to back, it looks like this is the bulk of it. On top of a general change to blood and gore, apparently, which includes effects to dead enemies and gore being gone entirely. Like there's a let's see what we got here. There's a
Man, some of this stuff is fucking gruesome.
Yeah, there's like some.
I'm not saying that like as if, oh, it's a good thing that they censored it,
Yeah,
but
but it's
I
it's sensitive
I am
stuff.
aware of the setting of the game, and
Yes.
like this is shit that does happen in real life. So
Yeah.
I
It's
like to stick with the immersion of the game. Like look, I'm not offended by any of this to the point where like I don't think it should be in the game, but
yeah.
it's still like this is some heavy subject matter.
Yeah, it's like we've got like a police informant being tortured. They covered up. They gave him underwear. He was nude before. They took out. There was a victim, like an younger victim that is found like convulsing, and they just made the kid look like it's asleep instead. There's like a guy in a ghillie suit who's just not wearing any pants. There's apparently a lot of dicks in this game. There's this one
Also
actually
in
struck
real
me.
life.
Yeah, this is this struck me as odd because there's a picture you can see here of women in a shipping container, and they're nude.
Yep.
They're obviously they're being trafficked. The shit happens, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and they gave them nice clean underwear. Covered them up. What blew my mind about this is when I found out the context of this mission is apparently when you find this container, you like get a call from higher ups to like ignore what you just saw, like to close it and walk away. Like I'm just
Oh
like, so
wow.
you're gonna go that far to point out like the deepest levels of potential corruption or leaving victims out to dry in order to net bigger fish, but yeah, the boobs, it's too much. It's offensive. I can't. You can't. It's
The
it's too
boobs.
much. The absolute worst, some of the worst possible crimes, and you got to cover that up. And it's like, there's another one here where it's just like you're supposed to report prohibited images of minors, and they just changed it to photographic evidence. And it's like they're not showing anything here, and it's meant to be shocking because these things are shocking. But anyway, I eventually landed at a statement from Void Interactive, right? The developers, the guys in charge of it. And their plea is
Right.
that
Yep.
they kept these changes to an absolute minimum, to the letter of the regulations they have to follow, and that their stance on creative freedom and building experiences that push boundaries hasn't changed. That was their whole plea. I condensed it for you. It was a long couple paragraphs. A lot of strong words. That and the images, it's a lot of transparency. I respect this about as much as I can given the circumstances, but I'm not totally convinced.
Okay.
My two reasons being, one, they are changing an existing version of a game that has been released. The reason of which has still not been fully disclosed. You can stretch it and infer things in what they said to make it make sense for a console release being changed before it's released on console, right? But they never really addressed why there needs to be sensitivity parity on the PC. That made me raise an eyebrow there. And two, and this one always rubs me the wrong way when I hear it, it probably rubs you the wrong way too. They trotted out the misconceptions and misinformation line in a blanket way when discussing the review bombing allegedly, and people changing the reviews
Shut
to
the fuck
negative
up.
and so yeah. And like, listen, I sympathize with any creator that has to deal with all the censorious bullshit we're going to talk about. I get it. If you got to do this, I know it sucks. You have to entertain people that shouldn't be involved with what you're doing. But once you have your foot out the door with a game that's already released, you need to raise hell when this happens. Otherwise, I'm going to doubt you. Like, I didn't hear like weeks of you like talking about how you're fighting against censorship boards or Steam or anything. It's just out of the blue. As soon as this console release is coming up, you just shuffle things out under the rug. You have like a boilerplate statement that says like, "Oh look, we only so little, and we only had to do this, but we still love creative freedom and we're against this and that. And we want to push the boundaries or whatever." And it just seems it's a bit much. The interesting thing in all this is that I heard that the latest position from them is that they wouldn't issue any kind of takedown request on censorship mods like the ones that were taken down by Nexus mods, because Nexus mods just loves to take down whatever the fuck they don't like or they find suspect, especially now that they have corporate overlords and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so that's the gist of it with that. But this news coincided with a few other events the same week where we saw a massive spike in anti-consumer practices and censorship and the like and all that kind of stuff. The ready or not shit is just the tip of the iceberg, and it's kind of expected from Nexus of all people to like make those kind of shots, right? Now, I mentioned at some point in the last year instances of credit card companies making moves against different kinds of Japanese media, like anime, games, manga, and their distributors. Do you remember any of that?
Vaguely.
Yeah, so basically, the gist of it is, credit card company, all of a sudden, like, payment processors don't work on websites and, nobody knows what's going on, but you can't use certain, payment methods on certain websites to get certain things. And I'm not just talking about, like, you know, stuff as dark as Ready or Not or pornographic stuff. I mean, like, just, like, weird stuff, like different distributors just because it happens to be a little bit more lewd or anything like that, right? Essentially, despite them having nothing to do with the creation or distribution of these things, just being a middleman by default, a payment processor, the means for buyers like you and me to use their money or credit, Visa and Mastercard have taken it upon themselves to set their own moral standards. They decided, or they decided to at least pretend, that every purchase ever made has the potential to reflect on them negatively because of these new vague and ever-reaching standards that they just, came up with. Now, my angle, Dan, as you know, starts with Japanese entertainment medias and their outlets because it's fresher, it's more my wheelhouse, and quite frankly, it has and will likely continue to be disproportionately targeted by these forces. That's just how it is.
Right.
But specific moves like this date back as far as 2012, where credit card companies made moves through PayPal to strong-arm ebook companies based on erotic offerings. And every few years in between then and now, there have been instances of them taking aim at different storefronts, different mediums, in a way that really escalated in 2016. And just to kind of explain, because I'm going to be using terms like lewd and erotic a lot, like you can imagine some of the stuff that I've brought up in the past, with fan service stuff like this. The ebooks they were going after were like smut that like middle-aged women read and shit like that. Like that kind of stuff. Like not even like the easy to make fun of, Japanese shit. Like they have like old school, conservative Christian ridiculous values alongside the modern bullshit that we deal with. I digress. All of these instances are bad, and a lot of them have yet to be resolved. But what happened 2 weeks ago was massive and has already had a ripple effect. Out of the blue, Steam updated its publishing guidelines to prohibit content that, in vague terms, violates the standards of payment processors like Visa, Mastercard, and PayPal. Like it's in their terms of service now. It's a brand new amendment. It's a brand new ruling. This leads directly to around 100 different adult games being removed from the platform immediately.
I did actually hear something about that.
Yes, and you're going to hear more about it because it's kicking off some things that basically, like I mentioned months ago, where I'm just like, I'll keep you updated as this like gets rolling. It's starting to get rolling, especially with what's going on in the UK right now. The next day, Valve, confirms that they made those changes based on that. So just real quick before we move forward, to summarize and really highlight what I just went over. The two largest payment processors globally that together hold what I would say is effectively a monopoly over global payment processing, it's something like 90%, have been making escalating movements to censor content based on their own vague but growing standards, culminating in them strong-arming the largest PC storefront on the planet into making changes that suit their absurd sensibilities that could change on a whim, under the guise of preventing quote-unquote brand damage. And since then, you already have outlets and cultural actors running with misleading representations. They're doing shit like, Valve cracks down on adult content, or, removes trash from the storefront, and blah, blah, blah. Following this, itch.io. Have you ever heard of that before?
It rings a bell, but I don't really know what it is.
It's another digital platform. It's known for indie and adult offerings primarily. It's basically like if you or me wanted to make a game, and we couldn't necessarily get Steam greenlit, or we wanted to do demos or just something that's a little easier, we would go to itch.io and just upload it. It's like a quick download an exe file kind of place, right? They immediately delist and straight up remove games from the libraries of people who bought them already, and just straight up, like, they did their own sweeping thing. They did their own, fucking white carded, like, we apologize for the inconvenience, and they were lying about it, and, you know, people are saying, like, hey, you took the game out of my library, what the fuck? I can't purchase it, whatever, but I can't download it, and they're lying. So they're going through the whole thing much more messily than Valve and Steam, because Valve and Steam, say what you will about the things they do, they are very structured and professional about these things. Now, Daniel, you're an adult. I'm not going to mislead you here. A solid chunk of the games that were removed on Steam, and even more so on itch.io, cheap smut. I'm not gonna bury the lead
right.
here.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Yeah, I went through the names. I went through the content. When I say cheap smut, this isn't me diminishing games arbitrarily based on the fact that they are based on the fact that they're pornographic. I mean, about half the ones on Steam were mass-produced junk, like the kind that people churn out to make a quick buck, because there's like free models and software that you can buy and just put something together on a free engine, and boom, you make $5 a download, right? I'd bet even more of these things on itch.io. I don't have the time to go through itch.io and go through all the different names of the shit that got removed. That's the Wild West out there. I don't have the time for that. That particular sector of gaming is filled with people who are out to make a quick buck, and early access swindling that, if it were not for the head start, would rival the Star Citizen, quite frankly.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
But that's not all of them. And even then, there's no excuse for this kind of censorship. And of course, that's just the starting point. It's a slippery slope, like most of these issues. You know, they shouldn't be involved in these, you know, backroom deals. You know, they shouldn't be involved in these deals in the first place to like remove content, because if you want to buy it and it's legal for you to do so, you should just be able to do it regardless of the content, right?
Mm-hmm.
But these people have other aims, and they need to get people on board with it, and they're going to do it via a slippery slope by targeting porn first. Because I've said it plenty of times, boy howdy, is it easy for people to just go, yeah, porn bad, the second they hear about this stuff, which is why it's framed that way. A lot of people are afraid or embarrassed to admit that they enjoy really benign things that are like cutesy or for kids, you know, shit you get bullied over in high school. So if you go to your average person and you present them with names like Nympho Wife or Harem of Nurses or Sexual Punishment of the Married Girl Who Shoplifts. I went through some of these names.
Harem of Nurses?
Harem of Nurses. You know, I went through and I dug through the ones, and I looked at the ones that weren't just like cobbled together, but were, you know, like small little projects that people could put out there. You know, if you present them with names like that, they're going to flinch, or they're going to support censorship as a knee-jerk response, you know, because you don't want to be called a degenerate or a pervert, you know, surely not. You don't want to be, you know, made out to be some kind of fucking freak, right? It's hard for your average person to rush to the aid of games like Succubus in Wonderland or Brainwashing with Tentacles or Slave Doll or any of these other, you know, out there names, right? You're just not going to get people on board. They're gonna cover their eyes and say whatever they need to get the fuck out of that situation, or try to be the morally right one and avoid embarrassment. That's just how it is. But I'll tell you what, Dan, it's already gone beyond that. A mix of games so far have been caught in the crossfire or delisted for seemingly no reason, or suddenly, like, fine print rules that were never enforced before are conveniently being enforced right around as this is happening. There's a game called Trials of Innocence, which is basically like an Ace Attorney-like game. It's like a visual novel with puzzles and shit. That was one of the first ones that just seemingly just got shot down out of nowhere. There's a game called Mouthwashing, which is an indie horror darling that was like blowing up in the past year. That one had darker themes. No porn in that. That's just gone. Grand Theft Auto 2, which I didn't even know was on Steam, just gone. It's just not on the storefront anymore. So figure that one out. And it's already like, so many things right off the bat are kind of like, this all happened in the matter of like days or weeks. I'm not talking like a slow gradual buildup like I was a couple months ago. This is just kicking things off, right? Now, how'd we get here? The Japanese stuff I kept mentioning, and I keep mentioning the processor, payment processor angle. These are results. You know, the different activist groups that'll show up, like there's a big one going around right now called Collective Shout, because it's claiming responsibility for all the shit that's going on, and it's a bunch of wacky feminists out of Australia doing this shit. but at the bottom of it, there are people that push this stuff. Be it direct control of these institutions or pressuring the people that do have control of these institutions. It's a mix of different groups. You have unhinged activists, people that hate or want to control what people consume, people who can't separate fiction and reality and actually do believe they're fighting some great fight against, sexual abuse or whatever. And of course, underneath all of that, you have useful idiots that just want to cause to virtue signal about, like college school dropouts, kids that shouldn't even be on the internet that just want to, slap the latest cause in their bio and say, look, I'm doing my part. People like that just, if it's icky, it's got to go. And I feel like such a great person for doing that, right? And I don't know, man. Just to make my stance on censorship clear again, especially as these people start waving around very flippantly, like they say, like they'll point to a game like Grand Theft Auto and they'll call it sexual abuse of real women or rape. I've seen people they've pointed to games like Detroit Become Human and they've said that it endangers real children, like there's child abuse because Detroit Become Human exists. Like I remember once, I'm gonna see if I have this picture saved because you got to see this. There was an instance of a where the fuck is it? There was an instance of a journalist who basically claimed that the creator of this this game, this side-scrolling action game from a while ago, was pedophilic, and the images he was making were pedophilic. I'm gonna send you an image of what he said was like basically pedophilia. Watch this. Look at this. Does that strike you as a pedophilic image, Dan?
Not even remotely close.
Yeah, you can't even make the argument like, oh, that's a drawing of a child. Like, and that would be bullshit in itself. But does that strike you as a pedophilic image?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the kind of brain-dead, retarded arguments they're making. My stance is this. As long as we aren't hurting any man, woman, or child, I do not care. No censorship. I don't care how offensive you are, how offensive you think it is. I don't care what, if you're off your meds that one day and you can't separate, reality and fiction. I don't give a shit. Nobody's getting hurt. It stays up, right? It was like that when Hatred got banned all those years ago. I'll be like that for the foreseeable future. I remember that one. Yeah, that was a big one back in the day because the outcry was crazy. Like, this is more about the sexual stuff. That was about the violence, but you know how it is. And I like to think that's the position most people default to, I think, if they even give a shit. I'd argue most really just want you to stop bothering them, and as long as you don't bother them, you can do whatever you want as far as they're concerned. We have clear rules. When that fails, we have clear laws. When those fail, or are bent and broken by these people, we have clear common sense. And even when that fails, we have clear indifference, right? Now, where am I going with all this, right?
Go on.
These people will claim that all these different games, be it like the smut I talked about or like the games that everybody, the big ones, that were always the talk of the town, at the end of the day, all of these claims are just cheap, disgusting ploys to manipulate the average person, the live and let live guy, into following whatever cause blindly and to ultimately manipulate creators. You've heard me say that plenty of times, right? And the results will vary. I mentioned to you a while ago when talking about localization that one of the many goals is, again, get these people, these movements, they want the creators to self-censor and just do what they want. It starts with the easy shit, anything that can be construed as a crime, something to shock an average person just long enough to make them forget they aren't talking about fiction. Things that are easy to rally against and difficult to explain. Anything that can pin rape or incest or abuse to. After that, the most common easy target is, like smut, literal porn, any flavor, something that your average person won't rush to defend or would be too embarrassed or bashful to defend at all if it even came to it. I'll also add in that category that I'm including pornographic games that remove all the porn and repackage it as like a different game, into a separate release with the story and gameplay intact. They'll still go after them even if you bend over backwards and remove all of that from your game. The next step is the lewd and ecchi shit, games that with fan service, games that are either deliberately built around sex appeal or aren't afraid to dip into it when the design just arises and pops into their head. That one gets a big peak every few years. Stellar Blade was the most recent one. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers might be one. Before that it was Nier. Before that it was Bayonetta. Before that it was Lara Croft and Tomb Raider. There's always something to go after. And then And then finally, it's just games that utilize, I want to say, darker or more mature themes, but it's really just anything they can stretch to fit their terms. It's how you end up with Ready or Not self-censoring by the requirements of other platforms and mod platforms shutting down patches to fix that. One of the things I covered last year in the news hole was Fire Emblem Engage. Localizers took out what could best be described as like a childhood crush, where like it's like really formal fairy tale shit where they're just like, oh, I can't wait to get married when we're older. Like that was too offensive for them. Like, you know, shit like that. And if you try to, you know, mod that back in, they will say that you are like some kind of sick child abuser and that the developers clearly wanted it to be removed in the English release and shit like that. And on top, and at the very top of all this, there's no real criteria for this one. It's just games that are blatant and games that are unapologetic in a way, where you have like that's where you get like the old school national coverage of the politicians and the lawyers scapegoating shit, like Grand Theft Auto for all the shit it did, Doom, even Guilty Gear back in the day when it had like the tagline "Kill your friends guilt free." There's a conference out there, Bill Clinton holding up Guilty Gear talking about how it's poisoning the youth. Like that's like the easy shit that we've been dealing with forever. And, you know, don't make the mistake that I listed all this as steps, make you think they do this sequentially. They fire in all directions at all heights. This is just how things progress in the mainstream. And the reason I describe things the way I do, as a means of control in specific area, prejudice against specific content, or frivolous actions based on bias and not morals, is because these processors are slow and often directly complicit in transactions involving real people, real victims, real activities, shit like OnlyFans and, you know, all the different porn websites that turn out they have like real traffic people on those sites and shit like that. Not a thing to say about that, because there's been plenty of whistleblowing incidents and reports of these networks being shown, you know, the shit that they would describe as brand damaging, but like with real victims, and they just tune it out entirely. It's really just like, after months of, you know, working their way up to it, they've gone from, you know, just targeting the silly, you know, creepy Japanese shit to going after everything. They're strong-arming Steam right now, Dan. Just picture that for a second. Like, you think, you know, if all of a sudden violence becomes like the next big thing, you're not going to have Killing Floor 3 in your fucking library anymore to talk about. That's their end goal. Like I said, it's easy for me. I read off all those porn names before as like a little joke. You know, people should be entitled to those. But that's where it starts, and it ends with the crown jewel. They'll never fucking get it, because thank God for this. They'll never fucking get it. But if they could get rid of Grand Theft Auto, they would get rid of Grand Theft Auto.
It makes too much money. It would never happen.
Yeah, but I'm saying like they are going to claw their way to that, and they're going to get rid of everything they can on the way to that. Wherever they can get a win, they're going to try to. Like, I remember that one of these groups, they like got Target to stop selling Grand Theft Auto at certain locations because of the noise they make. Because that's you know, they're just loud and obnoxious. You know, I rambled quite a bit about all this, Dan. It's needless to say, it's shitty people attacking entertainment mediums. They're gonna do it any way they can. They're through playing around with the easy shit. They're gonna still target the easy shit to try and work people up and say like, oh, you want porn in front of kids on Steam? Yeah, it's weird, but you know, that's not really the fucking conversation. It's just let adults buy whatever they want, right? And the nice thing about this is this overreach is kind of like set up a rallying cry. You have a ton of people you never thought you'd see working together, you know, trying to raise the alarm. There's plenty of prominent people with loud voices, you know, all the different groups, you know, politicians are now also hearing about this, and, you know, the people in Japan are tired of it. So I think instead of just being like a one and done, I think there's going to be a fight about this, because it's been going on for as long as I've been talking about it on the smaller stuff, and this is just an escalation of that same shit. But I guess this is all to say censorship is terrible. I don't care how, you know, how much you flinch at the aspect of, you know, seeing women of, you know, varying degrees of attractiveness. And, you know, if you find porn icky, I don't care. Censorship is bad. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I mean, it ruins it for everybody, really.
Yeah, it's really like there's no justification for it. If it's one of the things that you're going to see thrown around a lot in the next couple weeks, Dan, especially once again with the crazy shit that's going on in the UK right now, is you're going to see a lot of people say like, "Oh, what you want kids to see porn or shit like that?" When really this is just about,
God.
people, you can't restrict a storefront based on, like some weird 3D chess move where it's like parents don't take care of their kids, and that's why we need the payment processors to strong on arm storefronts and get the government involved while we're at it. No,
Yeah.
that's not how this works.
Ah, fucking
And it,
censorship, man. It's just.
it's ridiculous. I've had enough of it. Like, I'll be honest, like, people might see me as extreme. I'm the other way around. I think Ready or Not should be fully uncensored on Xbox and PS4. I don't give it like that. I'm the kind of guy that wants to fight in the opposite direction, but in the meantime, we just can't give more ground to these fucking crazy people. And you're gonna see in the coming weeks, you're gonna see movements by the payment processors, the activist groups, and even some government actors. And it's really all that needs to be done is anyone out there that's against it just needs to be fearless in what they stand in, and anyone who's like flinchy, just put your head in the fucking sand. I don't need like useful idiots standing in the way while we try to save freedom of expression.
Yeah, I mean that's. I, I don't know. It's all fucked. I mean, the whole
Yeah.
censorship argument is it's fabricated from one side,
Yeah.
and like there's just no way of I don't know, man. Everything that you just outlined,
Go ahead.
yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
everything that you just outlined, like it's just people with nothing else better to do. That's really what it comes down to.
Moral busybodies and people
Yeah,
who are quite frankly, like I said, mentally unwell, and they literally see like, I'm gonna point again to that image that I sent you. Like they see that as like in some way, shape, or form child abuse of some kind, and they think
yeah.
that
They
by
need to
removing
fucking
that,
take a chill pill.
yeah, and they think that by even the more extreme, because we could sit here all day and look at fringe cases and different drawn lines. It's at the end of the day, there's reality and there's fiction. If you really have such a big fucking problem with like, sexual abuse of women and something that everybody should have a problem with, which is, children being abused, there are plenty of fucking groups out there. Go do the groundwork, fight the real demons. Leave the
Yeah,
fucking the pixels and the drawings alone, especially
for
when
real.
you're just being a patsy to the guy who are using that as a stepping stone to control everything that you fucking consume. So,
Yep. Oh God. All right. Well, on that note, I think we're gonna wrap this up. I don't really have any more time left,
yeah, that's fine.
and that was. It's been a while since we had a good Anthony rant, so I'm happy that we got that one in. Um,
Yeah.
so on that note, this was episode 65 of the Pregame Network podcast. We'll be back. Well, it's a Monday. No, I'm sorry. Technically, it's Wednesday right now, so we'll be back. When do you upload? We record on Sunday, so you upload what on
We
Monday?
we aim for Mondays.
Okay.
So
All right. So
this will
we will.
probably come out tomorrow, and then we'll see you
Okay.
on Monday.
Yeah. Cool. So we'll see everybody next Monday. And if you're still sticking around, then we appreciate you listening to us fucking flap our lips. And we, I'm sure we'll have more flapping to do next week. So on that note, thank you everybody for listening, and we will catch everybody next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.